It's so wonderful to be here with you and to move with you. First thing is let's set up our neutral stance, whether we're sitting or standing. So outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, which is the knees in line with these top two outer pelvic bones. Tilt your pelvis into neutral, so bring your top pelvis forward. If that is not comfortable to sit like this, or you keep rolling back, get your hips a little bit higher. And then from here, let's bring our arms out in front of us, palms up, low chest height, and open out to the side. Once you're out to the side, squeeze your hands into a gentle fist. Open your hands back up all the way. Bring your fingers back together. Open, squeeze into a fist. Reopen the palms of your hands. Bring your pinkies back together. Open, squeeze into a fist. Open, pinky fingers back together. Open, squeeze into a fist. Open, pinky fingers back together. Now, with your pinky fingers together, gently squeeze your hands into a fist. Keep them squeezing in a fist as you open your hands, squeeze into a fist, bring the fist together, palms face up. Open through the palms of the hands, squeeze back into the fist, bring them together. Open through the palms of the hands, squeeze back into a fist, bring them together, and then open through the palms of the hands, and then hold there. Extend your legs long in front of you, heels down, toes up in the air, and then from here, we're going to bend your right knee, keep your left leg long, and then we're going to switch. Extend your right leg, bend your left knee. And for the first couple rounds, just go back and forth. You're trying to look, where does my foot land? Is the outer edge of my foot straight? Is my ankle landing right underneath my knee? Are my knees staying about hip distance apart? And essentially you're just bending and then straightening one leg with the ankle flexed, toes in the air, and then bending and straightening the other leg. And you're just going back and forth. So this is going to take a little bit of, you can reach your arms out to the side. That's what I meant to start. Taking just a little bit of brain focus to go back and forth like this, and then we'll make it a little bit more challenging for the brain. You can relax your arms down. Now nice and slowly turn your head to the right, hold your head to the right, and then bend and straighten the leg, and bend and straighten, and take your time. And then pause when both legs are straight, turn your neck all the way to the other side, and then continue, bend and straighten, bend and straighten, pelvis upright, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And then turn back to center. Notice, are your legs still about hip distance apart? And now let's do with our head over to the side. Gently drop your right ear to your right shoulder, bend and straighten, ankle flexed, bend, try to straighten all the way, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. Slowly bring your head up, bring your left ear to your left shoulder, nice and slowly, bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And then slowly bring your head up, reach your arms out to the side, and rotate your arm bones all the way one direction, all the way the other. Think pelvis upright, ribs relax down and back. Super important once we start working with the shoulders and the arms and the wrist and the elbows and the neck. Breathing here, keeping your palms open nice and wide as you rotate from the upper arm bones. Okay, you can rest your arms at any time, but otherwise you're turning your arms so your palms are up or almost turning behind you, and then you're going to point and flex. Opposite leg, point, try to touch all 5 of your toes down if possible, or at least the ball of the foot, and flex. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, and then from here we'll twist. You'll twist your ankles so your inner arches turn away from each other, and nice and slowly twist so that outer edges of the feet go forward. Twisting through the ankles and twist, nice and gently. Twist, 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 one more, twist, twist, and then come back to center, pelvis upright, ribs relax down. Try to spread all your toes out as wide as they'll go. How about trying and just do the best you can? The only way to get our toes moving is to focus on this area, even if they don't do anything. Try to point your big toes forward and pull your little toes back. And then little toes back or forward, big toes back. And if you've got that motion, if not, keep working on it. Maybe you've got one and not the other, but if you've got that motion, slowly go back and forth between the two. Breathing here. Usually have to look at your toes and pay attention. If you try to look away, they'll start doing all sorts of things. But even more challenging if you can do it while you're looking away. All right, relax your arms down. Bend your knees for just a second. If you don't have something like a block and you have something that you can lift your foot up on, you can just do the floor and then one height. If you have a block, you can do two different heights. So you can do the second highest height and the highest height. So first we'll put the block in front of our right foot at the second highest height. Put the heel up, the toes point up in the air. If you tend to pull your toes back, relax your toes. Keep your leg nice and straight and rotate forward from your pelvis any amount. And we're just going to stay in each of these variations for a moment. All right, and then come on up and you're going to bend that knee and you're going to hinge forward. So every time we're putting our feet straight, ankles hip distance, and you're bending forward from your spine to stretch a little bit through the back. Put your block on the second highest height. Slowly come up. Put your heel up and rotate forward from your pelvis. Try to relax around the thigh muscles as much as possible. Breathing here. And then slowly come up, bend that knee. You're going to lean forward and slide the block over to the right, but lower it to the second highest height. So we're going to do two heights at multiple different angles. Extend that leg out, heel up and heel down, toes up in the air, and rotate straight through the center of your legs. Moving from the pelvis. So even though my spine goes forward quite a bit, it's a rotation from the pelvis. So if your pelvis stops moving here, then keep your spine more upright. And then come on up, you can bend that knee, turn the block to the next highest height, bring your heel back up to the block, and rotate forward from the pelvis there. And I've done this many times, so I have a good feeling for where the block goes under my heel. Of course, now that I say that, it'll fall over or something, but don't worry if you have to adjust it multiple times. That's quite normal at first. All right, and then come on up and bend that knee. Slide the block over so it's in front of your left foot or a little bit closer to your left foot. And then, second highest height. And then reach that foot across, heel in the air, heel on the block, and hinge forward right through the center of your legs. Breathing, rotating from the pelvis. And slowly come up, bend that knee, spin that block, and put that heel back up, leg going across in front slightly, and rotate from the pelvis. And just taking enough time that you can take a breath or two and relax your thigh and feel the change of the angle of the pull on the muscles. And then slowly come up, bend that knee. Now we'll go over to the left foot, starting at the lowest height, heel up on the block, toes up in the air, rotate forward from the pelvis. And of course, everything we do here, if you find you're just like, oh, I didn't even have a chance to relax, then you can make a note to yourself, oh, I want to go back and do that and hold it for 30 seconds to a minute. Sometimes we do longer holds, but sometimes we're moving in kind of a rhythm. Come up and then turn the block and put that heel up and rotate forward from the pelvis. Breathing. And slowly come up. Bend the knee, fold forward, take the block on the second highest height, slightly out to the left, and put your heel up and rotate forward from the pelvis. Breathing. And slowly come up, bend that knee, switch the block to the next highest height, lengthen that leg up on the block, and rotate from the pelvis. Keep letting the breath flow. Keep relaxing that knee. If it starts to bend, come on up, bend that knee, slide the block second highest height closer to the right foot, and then reach that foot across. And rotate straight through the center of your legs. So your torso is not leaning to one side or the other. And then slowly come up and turn the block to the second highest height and extend that leg and rotate from the pelvis, breathing. And slowly come up, and you can slide your block to your side or whatever you are using. And from here, we'll reach our arms out to the side, and now we'll create a fist and gently squeeze that fist. Pelvis upright, ribs relax down, little bend in the elbows, rotate the arm bones all the way one way, all the way the other way. The little bend is specifically if you tend to lock out and your wrists fall down, so you're keeping your arms straight. And keep the fist and rotate from the upper arm bones. All right, open your hands, release your arms down, tuck the top of your right foot back behind you. Maybe on your toes, maybe you can get a little bit more to the top of your foot. If it's easy to get to the top of the foot, sometime your toes. And then we're going to stretch our fingers and our wrists, but in a unique way. So I think it was last week that we did palms up, where we did pinky finger down and then the wrist goes down. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to work with palm face down. So shoulder, elbow, wrist in line. Watch your arm. It always wants to come in, so keep it in line with your shoulder. And you're going to pull up just on the pinky finger, gently, and then you're going to flip the wrist up like you're saying stop with your hand. And then hand goes back down, pull up on just your ring finger. Palm of the hand faces the floor, and flip the wrist. And then hand goes back down. Middle finger goes up towards the ceiling, just the middle finger, and flip the wrist. And then hand goes down, pointer finger goes up, and flip the wrist. And then release, thumb goes out to the side and up towards the ceiling a little, gently. And then flip the wrist, and then release, and let's switch feet. So bring that foot forward, wiggle the toes a little bit, tuck the top of your other foot under. It's much more comfortable if you have something cushiony to put underneath your foot instead of a hard floor. Try to relax your foot muscles so you're not clenching, you're not holding on. And if it's very hard to relax, put a pillow or a towel under your foot. Start with palm face down, elbow, shoulder, and wrist in line. So another thing you can notice that I didn't talk about on the first side, just pull the pinky finger up, is does your elbow always pop out to the side? Can you drop your elbow down? And that will also help you relax your shoulder down as well. Flip the wrist up, palm face down, just the ring finger goes up, and wrist flips. And from there, middle finger goes up, and flip the wrist. It's so interesting how you can feel a totally different hand stretch than when you're doing it just with your palm face up in a different direction. Pointer finger up, and then flip the wrist. And then thumb goes out to the side, pulls up towards the ceiling a little bit, and then flip the wrist. All right, bring that foot out, release your hand. We're going to do backs of the hands together. You're going to try to touch as much of the back of the hand as you can. Your fingers weave in. You don't want to drop lower if your hands come apart a lot. Try to stay higher. Eventually, maybe the thumbs touch, but we're going to do this in a lunge. So spin around to your right, slide that left knee back right underneath your hip, ankle right behind the knee. You can work top of the foot or tuck your toes under. For this one, do the same on one side that you do for the other. And then bring those back of the hands together. So stabilizing through your legs. And again, only dropping down so much that your hands don't come apart. And then just see if your fingers turn toward you, can you rotate your fingers away from you a little and still keep the back of the hands together? So it might be very small motion. Notice if when you're here, your shoulders tighten up. That's common at first. Maybe you just stay still and try to relax your shoulders. How about pausing with your fingers up and opening your elbows and letting them go back by your sides a little bit? And feel how the position of the elbows changes the stretch on the forearm. All right, release that and then slide that leg forward, spin around to the other side, sliding your knee back. Do the same thing with your foot. Pelvis upright, ribs relax down. Let's come back to the back of the hands together. And this is one where my hands would barely come together. My thumbs didn't touch for a while. So I have worked through a lot of boundaries of tension. So it's okay if that's where you're at. And then from there, notice if your fingers splay to one side, bring them straight up and down. If they turn in, can you lift them to the ceiling a little bit? How about here, sliding your hands over to the right or the left and then going back to the other side? And just slowly slide back and forth, relaxing your shoulders. And feel free if you find a particular place to pause where maybe you feel a bigger stretch on one part of your forearm, you can stay there and breathe. All right, and then slowly release your fingers, wiggle them out a little bit, slide that leg forward, spin back around to the front of the chair with your ankles hip distance apart. We're gonna roll from the outer edges of our feet, inner thighs open, to the inner edges of our feet, maybe knees come together. So open and together, pelvis upright, open and together, open and together. Now bring your feet still hip distance apart. Come up off of your heels, but scoot your feet back. So every time we come onto our heels go forward so they're under our knees. When we come up off of our heels, we're going to put our toes right under our knees. And with our heels lifting up off the floor, rotate to the pinky toe side and then over to the big toe side. And open and close. Open and close. Open and close. Take your time. Okay, we're going to do 2 more widths. So you're going to open your feet a little wider. We're going to start with our ankles forward under our knees and drop them in any amount and roll to the outer edges of the feet. And in and open. And in, open, in, and open. All right, come up onto your heel, off your heels, toes move back underneath your knees so you're high up. Notice if those ankles roll to the side, try to push down through the center when you're in the center, but of course they're going to roll out a little bit when you go to one side and then the other. So you're rolling over towards your pinky toe side of your foot into the big toe side of the foot. And it's okay if the knees don't come all the way together. Feeling your hips, taking your time if anything feels uncomfortable. All right, let's do 1 more width. So start with feet flat, walk your feet forward a little bit so your ankles are under your knees, roll together and to the outer edges of the feet. Inner thighs drop in gently and to the outer edge. And in and open and in and open. All right, scoot your feet back, come up onto your toes, you're high up off your heels, and roll in, and open, and roll in, and open, roll in, and open, and roll in, and open. All right, keep those thighs nice and wide, but put the feet down, outer edges of feet straight, pelvis upright, ribs relax down, palms face away from you out to the sides, right arm goes up and over, side bend, and back down. Left arm up and over, and down. Right arm, ribs relax down. Left arm, breathing. Right arm, and left arm, and right arm, and hold. hold, rotate that arm bone so the palm faces forward. Reach over a little more, never forcing, inner thighs open. Rotate the palm down, reach a little more. Rotate the arm bone so the palm faces behind you. It will come slightly in front. Reach a little more, and then pull yourself up. All right, left arm goes up and over. Rotate the palm to face forward from the arm bone and reach across a little bit more. Rotate the palm to face down and reach across a little more. And then rotate the palm to face behind you. Elbow turns forward. Reach across a little bit more there. And then pull yourself up. All right, from here, walk your feet back into hip distance apart, and let's spin around for a lunge. So spin back around to your right, slide the knee back underneath your hip, toes tucked under or top of the foot. Try to vary it. Of course, you can do this with shoes on. So your inside hand, you're not going to be able to hold on to the chair. You have to stabilize yourself a little. You're going to put it on your breastbone to just feel your breastbone kind of sink down and back, or your rib cage, either one that helps you. And you're going to reach your other arm straight out to the side, palm face forward. And you're going to make sure that as you move, that your ribs don't lift up, not even a little bit. So that's a lot, but you don't even want them to lift up a little bit as you lean back slightly and come back forward. Ribs stay down, hinging back and coming forward. Hinging back and coming forward, and hinging back, and coming forward. And then slide that back leg forward, spin around to the other side, slide the knee back as much as you can. You can always just do the arm movements, hand to the chest, ribs relax down, arm out to the side, palm face forward, and hinge back, and come forward. Hinge back, and come forward. Ribs stay down. Hinge back and come forward and hinge back and come forward. And then release that arm, slide that foot forward, spin back around to the front of the chair. All right, hold on to the chair. Your hands, if you tend to hike your shoulders up in stress and you know it, try to walk your hands down so they're more mid-chair. If your elbows pop out to the side, hug them straight back. You don't necessarily have to hug them in closer, but straight back. Pelvis upright. You're trying to move your rib cage separate from your pelvis. Lift your chest up and drop it down and back. Lift up and drop down and back. Notice when you drop down and back, do your hips go back? Keep the hips upright. Lift and drop down and back. And lift and drop down and back. Now keep the ribs down and back, elbows in. Notice how your head might be forward a little bit. Slide your head straight back, but try not to tilt your head back. So you're trying to lengthen the back of the neck as you slide your head back. Let your head go forward a little, the ribs stay down. Slide your ears straight back over your shoulders. Head goes forward a little, elbows hug in. Slide your ears back straight over your shoulders. And head goes forward a little. Slide your head back straight over your shoulders, not forcing anything. And then release your arms, and let's go for another lunge. Let's go around to the left first this time. So spin around, and we're going to do 3 angles. Our foot ankle straight behind our knee, our ankle hops a little bit away from the chair, and then our ankle hops in towards the chair. And the whole time you can hold on to the chair. So start with your ankle right behind your knee, and then just do the best you can. Go slow at first and do micro lift and lower off the ground. Now it's very common at first that the back of the leg will cramp when those muscles are underused. If that happens, slide your leg forward and just rub out the muscles and come back if you feel ready, but you might not need to do as many as we're doing. Breathing here. And notice as you lift, the thigh will come forward a little, but try not to do this because that kind of defeats the purpose, because then you're not using the back of the leg to lift the foot off the ground. You're going to your often more dominant muscles. So you have to keep your knee back to get the back of the leg muscles to work and the front of the hip to open a little bit more. All right, how about, and a little bit goes a long way, taking that foot a little bit farther away from the chair. And how about seeing if we can lift and lower there? And it's going to use different muscles in your buttocks and around your hip. Breathing. All right, how about scooting that foot over towards the chair and lifting and lowering there? All right, bring that foot back to center, slide that leg forward, and we'll spin around to the other side. Start with the knee right behind the ankle. And then from there, lift and lower. Go slow. Take a pause, stretch your leg out if you need to. Breathing. All right, take the foot a little bit farther away from the chair and do your best to lift and lower there. And at first you might grip the chair a lot, like I'm holding on pretty good so I don't fall over, but over time you can try to grip a little bit less. Okay, slide the foot over towards the chair and lift and lower there, just at your own pace. Breathing. Okay, bring that foot back, slide it forward. Let's go back around to the other side. So go back around into another lunge, slide the leg back, and then from this lunge, we're going to twist to the back of the chair. You can hold on and unwind your spine. Twist to the back of the chair. Try to move from the belly button and unwind. Feel the waist move. Twist to the back of the chair and unwind, and one more. Twist to the back of the chair and unwind. All right, slide that foot forward, spin around to the other side. Just doing the best that you can. That knee slides back. We're upright, shoulders right over our hips. Twist to the back of the chair and unwind. And rotate to the back of the chair and unwind. Two more like that. Rotate and unwind, and rotate from the waist and unwind. Slide that leg forward, come back to the front of the chair, stretch your legs straight, heels down, toes up in the air, sit up tall with the pelvis. Now really focus on flexing your right ankle. So you're not just going to kind of let it relax, even though it will be somewhat flexed. Purposely flex it. And just with your legs straight, see if you can either slide or slightly lift your leg out to the right and over towards your left leg a little. Keep lengthening the leg. Out to the right and in. Out to the right and in. Out to the right and in. Bring that leg back to hip distance apart. Flexing the left ankle purposefully, lengthening that leg out to the side and in. And you can see there's a big range of motion. You can just do a little bit to each side. Out and in. Out and in. And out and in. Bring that leg back to hip distance. Point your toes to the floor. Can you keep your toes pointing down the whole time, even if they don't touch? Keep gently lengthening the top of your foot, the front of your ankle, the front of your shin. Open and bring it in. Open and bring it in. Open and in. Open and in. Come back to center. Reflex that ankle. Point your left toes any amount. Open and in. Open and in. Two more like that. Open and in. And open and in. And then bring your foot back. Bend both of your knees. We'll spin around for our last lunge. Let's go to the left again first. So spin around. Okay, so if just getting your foot up off the floor was challenging, you're going to just keep working on that. Or if sitting in a lunge is challenging, you're going to keep spinning around and trying to do the best you can to come a little bit closer to that. But otherwise, with that foot just barely in the air and straight back behind your ankle, you're going to do these micro pushbacks, where you just try to push your thigh bone back a tiny little bit with your toes barely lift up off the floor. Now, how about we do it and we try to change actually before we change the angle, keep your foot right behind your knee, lean forward and see if you can wiggle that foot back and straighten your leg any amount. And breathing here. And then slowly come up as your knee bends. The knee bending as you come up is what keeps your back safe. Now take that foot a little bit, and a little bit goes a long way, especially with what we're doing. So take it a little bit farther away from the chair, lift the foot up. You have to hold and micro press backs. Micro press backs here. And then put that foot down. It's a little bit crooked out to the side, and can you straighten that leg back at that angle? And feel a little bit different muscle work. All right, and come back up. And now take the foot closer to the chair, lift the toes up barely, and micro pushbacks there. Breathing. Feel the buttocks working. All right, how about putting the foot down there and seeing if you can straighten and slide that leg back any amount. As long as the chair's not in the way, you'll know if you walked your foot too far over. And then slowly come up, bring that foot right behind your knee, and then slide that foot forward, and let's go around to the other side. So, pelvis upright, front ankle right under the front foot, back toes right behind your knee, maybe lift. You can just practice the lifting and the lowering. You can just stay in a lunge, and little press backs. Little press backs. Tiny movement makes a big difference, especially if you tend to use your back muscles a lot more than your hip muscles, which is very common. Okay, from there, lean forward. You might have to scoot the foot back a little, straighten the leg any amount. Of course, this is somewhat going to depend on the dimensions of your chair and your legs, but doing the best you can. And then slowly come up as the knee bends. Take the foot a little bit away from the chair. It can even just be like an inch difference. You're getting into different muscles that way. Lift and micro pushbacks of the thigh bone. Breathing. All right, how about stretching that leg long, a little bit out to the side, leaning your torso forward. You want to lean your torso forward when you stretch your leg straight, because if your spine is up here, which you can see I can do, but it puts a lot more load on the lower back, and it kind of takes the load off of the area where we're trying to put the load. Okay, let that knee bend, take the foot closer to the chair, lift the foot up a tiny bit, and micro press backs with the thigh bone. Breathing. All right, stretch that leg back any amount at that angle. Slowly come up as the knee bends, turn the foot back straight behind, slide that leg forward, and spin back around to the front of the chair. Okay, ankles hip distance apart. You can either just cross ankle over ankle, let your knee drop open. Great stretch to do. Or you can pick up your ankle and put it over your knee. And some days we do variations where it's the foot, the ankle, or farther over. Feel free to vary it up with what you want to do today. From here, reach your arms out to the side, but try to move from your pelvis. So your spine moving would be this. There's no motion in the pelvis. You want to try to rotate your pelvis forward. And then if it's comfortable, turn your palms forward, reach them in front, open your hands back up, and bring your pelvis back upright. Rotate from the pelvis, reach your arms forward, breathing, slowly come back open. All right, let's switch legs. Maybe see if you can switch ankle, thigh dropping open with your arms out to the side, or crossing your ankle over your knee, if that's a possibility without your hands. And if it's not even close to a possibility without your hands, you might want to consider doing the block under your foot more often, doing something at a different height. All right, pelvis upright to start. Rotate forward from your pelvis. Reach the arms forward. And open as the pelvis goes back. Rotate from the pelvis. Reach the arms forward. And come back up, arms open. Release your hands down, uncross your ankle, ankles hip distance apart, right under the knees. Try not to scoot your feet back, feet forward, hinge forward, push into your feet, and slowly come up to stand. And I'm going to do a few of these from the side. From the front, you're looking if your thighs drop in. You're trying to keep your thighs open. All right, from the side, again, we don't want our ankles back behind our knees, so ankles forward, but make sure you're close to your chair and sit your hips back. So instead of pushing the knees forward, sit your hips back and try to slowly lower without falling. And then slowly come up. And inevitably, you might notice your feet scooted back. See if you can bring them forward. If you can't bring them all the way forward under your ankles, just try to bring them forward the tiniest little bit farther than they were. Hinge forward. Now, at first, your knees might go forward a little bit. We're trying to lessen that, so we use more of the back of our legs. So as soon as you push your hips back as you come up, and slowly come up to stand. Over time, less and less momentum. If you find that you're using a lot of momentum, stack your hips higher. Put some towels or some pillows down on your chair. Push your hips back, slowly lower down. Watch those inner thighs. And then from there, hinging forward, push your hips back as you come up nice and slowly. Let's do one more. Pushing the hips back, slowly lower down. Using more of the feet, and then push down through the feet to push your hips back to come up nice and slow. Come around to the back of your chair, putting your hands on the chair, walking back, 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Breathing, great time to practice feet straight, ankles hip distance, hips over heels, and if you've kind of done good on those, making sure you're straightening the legs all the way, you can rotate your thigh bones into neutral. Relaxing your belly so your tailbone tilts into the air. Don't forget to review those alignment skills. They're everything. We are here trying to not only learn how to, but practice moving in a way that balances the work over our joints. And if our feet, we have a habit of our feet always going out to the side, or hips always being forward over the front of our feet, or our knees always being slightly bent, we're moving in a way all the time that's not balancing the work over our joints. So the neutral alignment is a way that we start learning how to balance the work around our joints, which for everyone, no matter how old we are, improves our movement performance and lessens our risk for injury. But it takes time to change. All right, slowly come up. You can walk up to the chair, grab whatever you're going to use for a calf stretch. Please remember that a rolled up towel is always a great option, especially if you have a really tight calf muscle. I find that sometimes a thin block or a dome is too high for people to start with. So put the ball of your foot up, your heel down, outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. You can step that outside foot forward or back a little depending on how your balance feels. And you're going to see, and if one leg doesn't work, do both legs, but you're going to try to bend into your right knee and steer it over the center of your foot with your heel down and straighten that leg all the way. Bend into that knee. In this particular pose, it's okay if the knee goes past the ankle. And straighten. Now, as you do this, you might notice your heel sliding in. So try to bring your foot back to straight. Bend into the knee. And straighten. And bend into the knee. And straighten. Now, keep those legs straight. Weight back in the heels. Bring your hands low, palms together. Open low. Clap it together. Bring your hands a little bit higher. We're going to do 4 different heights. Open. And clap it in. Hands a little bit higher. Open and clap it in. Hands a little bit higher. Open and clap it in. Now keep your hands high open. Rotate your palms up. Pinky fingers come together a little bit lower. Open. Pinky fingers come together a little bit lower. Open. Pinky fingers together a little bit lower. Open. Pinky fingers together, and then from here, open, actually turn your hands to face down, flip your wrist down like you're curling your hands in towards you. You can either do it with a fist or you can just flip your fingers down, either one. Open your arms out to the side low, bring your hands back together a little bit higher. Open out, bring them together a little bit higher. Open out. Bring together a little bit higher, open out, bring together. Now you're going to flip your wrist the opposite direction. So extending your wrist, fingers go up, open out, thumbs come together a little bit lower. Open out, together, a little bit lower. Open out, together, a little bit lower. Open out, together, and then relax your arms down. Let's switch legs. So if that felt like a long time for the calf stretch, maybe doing something a little bit lower or not stepping your outside foot so far forward. All right, outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, especially watch that left edge of the foot as you bend the knee and straighten. And again, for whatever reason, for a lot of people at first, bending and straightening one leg is challenging. So at first, if it can't happen, you can bend both knees, steer them towards the center of your foot and straighten. But over time, you're seeing, why can't I bend one knee and straighten it? And it'll just happen with time. Maybe as your muscles warm up and you do this more often. So don't worry about bending and straightening both legs at first. And it's okay to let the knee go past the ankle here a little bit. And then straighten, and now keep both legs straight. Notice if you tend to always go into that slight knee bend. That slight knee bend, not so good for the feet, not so good for the knees, not so good for the activity of the hips. All right, let's start with our hands high together. Open, clap together. A little lower. Open, clap together. Ribs stay down the whole time. A little lower. Open, clap together. A little lower. Open, clap together. Now rotate palms up. Open, pinky fingers together. A little higher. Open, pinky fingers together. A little higher. Open, pinky fingers together. A little higher. Open, pinky fingers together. Now you're going to turn your palms down. Fist curls down or wrists just curl down. Open, wrists together, a little bit lower. Open, wrists together, a little bit lower. Check, is your weight falling forward or your knees bending? Back your hips up, relax, clenching in your legs. Open, wrists together, a little bit lower. Open, wrists together. Now flip the wrist in the opposite direction. Hands start low. Open, thumbs together, a little bit higher. Open, thumbs together, a little bit higher. Open, thumbs together, a little bit higher. Open, thumbs together, and then release your arms down. Great work. Okay, you can slide whatever you're using for the calf stretch out of the way. And then we're going to do with the outer edges of our feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. And remember, getting good at balance starts with what you do on two legs, not what you do on one leg. So standing more often with the outer edges of your feet straight, your ankles hip distance, backing your weight up into your heels, all makes you better at balancing in a way that uses your muscles, that will help them function over the long run. So start there, but you're going to push down through your right hip, and if it tends to pop out, hug it in, and you're going to tap those left toes behind you and then tap them forward. So you've got to work on this awareness of this standing leg. Tap, tap, tap back. A little goes a long way. Forward. So when you tap back, your whole pelvis isn't going back. It's just a little bit of motion from the hip. Okay, how about tapping out to the side a little? Tap, bring it in, hip distance. Tap and in. Weight back in the heel of the standing leg. Tap, tap. Okay, how about tap behind? This is going to be the hardest one, so engage that leg by pushing down through the hip. Tap behind and back forward. Tap behind and forward. Tap behind and forward. Tap behind and forward. Now, over time, if you're not already, you're going to start feeling these leg muscles work. Let's say when you're doing that, you're not feeling this and you're feeling this, the front of the leg. If you're feeling all the work here, that's a big indication that your hips are forward when you're balancing, even a little bit, and you've got to back your hips up. So if that's the case, hold onto a chair or hold onto a wall, like stand next to a wall, so that you can kind of hold your weight of the standing leg back in your heel and just work on the pushing down action. All right, tap, a little goes a long way. Just straight back. Keep thinking of that standing leg and what it's doing. pushing down through the side and backing the weight up into the heel. All right, tap a little bit wide, out to the side and back. All right, focus on that standing leg. Tap behind. Breathing. Once you stop focusing, that's when you lose your balance. You got to focus on those outer hips. All right, push down through your outer right hip, weight back in the heel, top of the foot stretch. Again, nicer when the foot muscles can relax a little bit, can feel like they're almost spreading out. For a while, maybe 6 months to a year, that's going to feel impossible. It might just feel tight. It depends on your foot. It depends on what shoes you're wearing over your lifetime. But then stick cushions under there. Make it more comfortable. Let's switch feet. Outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down. Of course, you can always do the sitting version more often. Relax. Can you feel the bones of your feet kind of getting wider and spreading apart a little bit? Notice if your ankle tends to roll out to the side. Now, if it rolls out to the side because it's painful to be upright, then let it roll out to the side for a while. But if it just rolls out to the side because that's the habit of your body, bring it up. All right, from here, you can do taps, holding onto a chair or the wall to keep your weight back, or you can keep your leg in the air a little bit longer, so a little bit more endurance on the balancing leg. Push down, hug the hip in, the foot floats up. Now this time we're just gonna rotate the thigh bone, and you're gonna have an internal, an external, and foot straight. Foot straight first, micro pushbacks. And if every time you can tap your toes down, if that helps, or you keep your ankle flexed, and you're just doing these really tiny pushbacks. And then how about internally rotating your thigh bone, but try not to turn your hips too much, and then micro pushbacks there. A few will do. And then how about externally rotating, toes turn out to the side, and a few pushbacks there. Maybe you can feel different areas of your buttocks muscles working. If you're feeling it in your lower back, don't push back so far. Feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down through your outer hip, hug it in, ankle flexes, micro pushbacks there. Are you clenching your toes of your standing leg? That's a good indication that you're using the front of the leg to balance more than the back of the leg. So you start to get all these little cues, and I can't tell you enough that holding onto a chair is so helpful because it trains the right muscles to work. It's not like, it's like someone could be not holding onto a chair and doing it in a way that's not good for their body. And if they get their weight back in their heel, let's rotate that thigh bone in and do micro pushbacks. What they're doing by holding onto a chair is much more beneficial than what someone might be doing in the center of the room. So rotate your thigh bone the other way and micro pushbacks. So never think of a chair as like you're doing less. That's not what the chair is for. The chair is so you're doing it correctly, because it's very, very easy to balance in the center of the room. I don't want to say incorrectly, but in a way that uses your joints in a way that's not supporting their long-term well-being. Okay, and bring that foot down. Let's go back into another thoracic stretch. I could just feel stretching out the back of the legs. Push your hips back for a moment, breathing, and then just for a moment, walk on up, feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. So we're not going for flexibility so much in this class. Flexibility is not really, with research shows, it's not exactly what we're going for as far as longevity in the body. We're going for mobility. And in mobility, there's control. So how much can you actually rotate your pelvis as your thigh bones go back, regardless of what you feel or don't feel? There's those people that can just kind of fall into things. That's flexibility. And excessive flexibility, especially as we get older, is often connected to more issues in our joints. So we want mobility, which you can get both from people who are very flexible and people who have excessive tension. You want more mobility. So you're working with control in certain ranges of motion. Slowly come up, and you're trying to just move back as your pelvis rotates back. Breathing. All right, slowly come up, feet straight, ankles hip distance, sit back into a chair pose and press up. And sit back and press up. Sit back and press up and sit back and press up. All right, feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Push down through that outer right hip, hips back over the heels. Bend the heel in towards the buttocks and slowly straighten. Every time feet straight, ankles about hip distance apart. Push down through the opposite leg, bend the heel in and straighten. Set up your feet because that's going to be most important over time. And bend and straighten, press down and hug the hip in, bend and straighten. Okay, walk your feet wide. Your chair is likely in front of you, so you can hold on. That's a good thing. Outer edges of feet straight. Sit your hips back. Right knee bends, left leg straight. You're trying not to move with the joint going forward, but backing your shin up, backing your buttocks up. Come up nice and slowly. Bend over into that opposite knee. And come up, holding onto the chair. Sit back on one side. Come up nice and slowly, sit back on the other side, and come up through center. Elbows by your side, open out to the side without the chest going forward. Sit back into a double-legged squat, toes point straight ahead. Press up, straighten the legs all the way without snapping them straight. So you're sitting back, and you're trying to straighten your legs with control rather than just snapping them back straight. Sit back, press up nice and slowly, sit back, hold, arms go in and open, in and open, in and open, in and open. This time extend your arms out. Press up nice and slowly, palms up, sit back. Press up nice and slowly. Sit back. Press up nice and slowly. Sit back. Press up nice and slowly. Sit back. Bring your elbows back in. Close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Relax the belly. Open. Extend your arms out. Stretch your legs straight. Right arm goes up and over into a side bend. Palm faces the floor. As it comes out, palm faces the ceiling. One more time. Up and over, palm faces the floor. Palm faces the ceiling. Rotate. Palm faces forward the whole time. Up and over, side bend. Back down by your side. Up and over, side bend. Back down by your side. Switch. Palm faces up. As you go overhead, it faces the floor. Come back, arm to the side, palm up and over to the floor. Come back up, rotate your palm face forward, stays in this rotation the whole time, weight back in the heels, up and over, and back down. Any discomfort in the lower back, make sure the ribs are down and back. Up and over, and back down. And I think we did that twice already, but let's do one more. Up and over, and back down. Okay, turn your feet a tiny bit out to the side. We're gonna go 2, 3, and 4. So you wanna just start 2 a little bit. Squat down. If your knees are going past your ankles, don't squat so low, or can you take your feet a little wider? Press up. Squat down. Press up. Turn your feet a tiny bit more. Squat down. Press up, slow and controlled. So we don't want to plop into end range of motion. For those that are tight, you're trying to go a little deeper slowly. For those who have this range of motion easily, you're trying to work with more control. And press up. Take your feet a little bit farther out to the side. Squat down and press up nice and slowly. Squat down and press up. Rotate your feet back to forward. Heel toe them in. And then from here, we're going to push down through our outer right hip, hug it in. And as you bend your knee, you're going to hold on maybe to a wall or a chair, and you're going to do those micro pushbacks here. Very small. So from the side view, Knee bent, micro pushbacks, very small. Pelvis isn't tilting, ribs relax down. Okay, how about switching sides, feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down, hug the hip in, bend that knee, micro pushbacks, very small. Breathing, relax your arms and shoulders. Okay, good thing to hold on to a chair. Push down through this side, bend the knee. How about take the foot a little bit out to the side? Micro pushbacks there. How about take the foot a little across behind the body? Micro pushbacks there. Bring it straight back, lower the foot down. Feet straight, ankles hip distance, hips back over the heels. Push down through that left hip, hug it in, bend the knee, take it a little bit out to the side. Not necessarily the knee, but more the lower leg. Push back, small. Take it across behind the body a little. Micro thigh bone moving back. And back to center, put that foot down. Face your chair, one foot at a time. One heel raises, then the other heel raises. Press equally through the ball of the foot. Try not to let your ankle roll to one side or the other. One heel and the other heel. One heel and the other heel. Okay, double calf stretch. So what do you have? 2 blocks, maybe something's wide enough. If you have a longer, thicker towel, you can put that down. If you have an extra rolled up mat, you can always do 1 foot at a time. Put the balls of your feet up as high as you would like. That's another way to change the calf stretch. Feet a little higher or lower, and push your hips back. Breathing here. Smooth inhales and exhales. Boy, that class went by fast today. Hopefully for you too. All right, let's come up and let's have a seat in the chair. All right, sitting up tall in the chair. Either ankle over ankle. Start with feet hip distance or ankle over knee. Since I did ankle over knee early, I'm going to do ankle over ankle just to change it up. Let that thigh drop open. Take your right arm out to the right. Rotate your thumb down, palm faces behind you. Wrap it behind your back. Try to get your elbow as close to your body. If it doesn't come in, keep your hand lower. If it comes in all the way, start to walk your hand up your back, but if it pops out, then bring your hand back down. Try to touch more fingers, more of the palm back of the hand, more of the forearm to your back. Notice this other shoulder, let it drop, this shoulder with your hand behind your back, let it drop forward. And then from here, nice and slowly, drop your left ear to your left shoulder. So right arm behind your back, left ear over, and you can slightly move your head forward and back a little. Turn your head a little bit from the side bend. And bring your head up and release that arm. Okay, switch legs. Ankles hip distance, either ankle over the knee or keep your foot where it is and bring your ankle all the way over to cross and let that thigh drop open. Left arm out to the side, thumb down, wrap the arm behind you, walk it in close. If it goes in all the way, maybe take the hand up the back a little bit. But the more the hand goes up the back, the more that your shoulder blade might start to wing off your back. So then you have to let that shoulder drop forward to spread out that shoulder blade. And then drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Try to touch more of the back of your hands, your fingers, your forearm to your back. And then you can just stay there, or you can move your head slightly. Forward and back, maybe a little twist, but the whole time your head's slightly over to the side. You're moving slowly. You're trying to relax your jaw and your facial muscles. And if you ever need some rosier cheeks, just stretching your neck. Like if I do a session and maybe we'll do it soon, but if I do a session where I just really do like 20 minutes of my neck, for the rest of the day, I notice my face has more color to it because it's like you just stretch all these tight muscles and brought in new blood flow. So just not only a movement tip, but a beauty or handsome tip. All right, release that arm, release that leg with your knees bent and ankles hip distance. Fold over your legs. You can put your elbows down. You can bring your spine down further. So we did a lot of balancing today. If you feel like, ooh, you can feel that tension in your lower back, there is a chance that your hips were forward and that you want to work on your hips back more. So next time, hold on to the chair or hold on to a wall a little bit more. Ribs might need to come down a little bit more. Slowly come up, pressing into your feet. Stretch your legs long and then rotate first from the pelvis. Then let the spine round a little. Maybe the head drops all the way down. Do your elbows pop out to the side? Let them drop down. All right, and then slowly come up and sit all the way back in your chair for our final pose, Savasana. Let your gaze soften or your eyes gently close. Become very present with your body and with your breath. Stay present with your body and with your breath. One of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Bringing your hands together at heart center, becoming aware of your breath. You belong in the family of things. You deserve to feel good in your body, in your mind, in your heart. In gratitude for this day, namaste. Now be careful and watch how you get up. I even noticed as I got up a second ago how much I scooted 1 foot back. So just watch. Do the thighs collapse in? Take your time. Use more muscle. We can create an incredible difference in our bodies by the way we move all day long.